Positioning is everything in what you do. Vision is the most important aspect of society. And important also is an action plan, something that people could see. It's not about the manifesto where the promises are made. You don't understand them, but you accept them. The fundamentals have to change. The priorities has to be reassessed. And whatever we do must take the initiative that it facilitates taking care of a majority rather than a minority. If we continue with the minority syndrome, we will be forever where we are. And one has to be hopeful, because that's the only thing we can live with. The hope that a better day is on the horizon. If a better day is not on the horizon, then we are all doomed. And a lot of these movies you see these days is about doom and gloom, you know. They're talking about the world going to end. They're showing about super savers or people who have special powers and skills and 6 people controlling the world. And when they sit down and think about it, some of those movie makers have a sort of sixth sense that we ourselves don't even understand. But with that said, let me introduce Philip Alexander, the political leader of the PEP. The PEP, pep, boy, what do you think? Yeah, pep. Think you have some pep in your map? Yeah, pep. Right. Good morning, Philip.
Good morning, Robert. Good morning, Kevin. Good morning to all your beautiful listeners. As usual, thanks a lot for having me. And also, I'm here with our Progressive Empowerment Party PRO, Tony Defoe. And let me give Tony an opportunity to say good morning to you as well.
Morning, everyone. Morning.
Tony Defoe. A Chinese?
No, it's actually French.
Oh, it's French. Oh, sorry. you know us Trinbagonians now. Full sounding like Chinese. DFW.
Well, to those following us on the live, I'm going to try my best to keep panning the camera if such a thing is possible. But you're going to at least get the audio and some of the visuals as we try to maximize this hour. Robert, this is a good thing. Thanks a lot for inviting us to do this. And while I'm here, I just posted a picture of this school across the street from you that have a start date 2017. What is the name of this school?
This was called the Woodbrook Presbyterian.
How old is this school?
It's an old school. They broke it down because the PTA rebelled, because I think when they were walking the floorboards.
So it was very old, right?
It was very old.
But then, but that work seems to have been stopped for a while.
At least 2 years.
For money.
I don't have a clue whether it's money or will. But whichever one it is.
But that is an institution in Woodbrook. That is a school that plenty people would have gone to that primary school.
Yeah.
And the point I'm raising is, because you yesterday mentioned to me with a kind of despair on your face that we're finding $400 million to spend on a ridiculous highway that we do not need right now. Because not even people in Manzanilla can tell me why they get to the highway, because Manzanilla are not asking for a highway.
No, the worst part about it, Philip, is again we come back to the point I was making yesterday, and also today I want to try and see if we can get this point also why we have the discussion. We need to have policies and procedures that will work in the interests of the society. So our Prime Minister gets up one morning after having a very nice night, because he hung up, rain was falling, he was hearing all the nice songs on the roof. Yeah, and you know when that happened, what has happened? It's 22s. So 22s take effect. And while 22s is taking effect now.
Tony, this is your first time on 104?
Yeah.
Don't stand on ceremony, Don't stand on ceremony. Follow Robert's lead, Just telling you. Go where you going,
a very brainstorming thing happened. A visual of driving down the highway.
He got an epiphany. He got an epiphany.
Driving down with the Prime Minister's car on the highway. 34 kilometers. Was it 34, I think? No. The first phase. I think it was 34. I hope it's not 35. It will be strange it could be 34 when you talk about section 34.
Exactly, because people mention what it is with the number 34 and wrong in this country.
Hello, let me play $100 on 34 today.
Yep. Lottos playways go as high as 34?
Yeah, to 36. So we are at the point, Philip, where
we had to share this one.
The vision is lacking because the procedure and the policy is not there. You know, when you hear the Prime Minister talk, and as I say, after the 22s, the man get this kind of vision of seeing this highway. Here are the questions we have to ask. The Northeast Peninsula, if you want to call it that, or the northeastern part of the country, is famous basically for two things. Well, a third one. Illegal narcotics being the third one. And the two legitimate ones, one that is partially illegal, quarrying, and the other one is, of course, food, because we are on that side of the island where the land is arable.
But I want to ask you something, because last night I asked on my live video, and I asked somebody who knows Stephen Williams, pick him up, take him for a drive down Cedros now. Clearly he's never been down there. I have spoken to people who live in Cedros. I have spoken to people who work in Cedros. I have spoken to law enforcement people from Cedros. Cedros is the tip of the spear.
We know that.
Cedros is the drugs. Cedros is the guns. Cedros is the human trafficking.
Yeah.
Why are we not dealing with Cedros?
And it begs this stupid question that you have $400 million to do something, and you have, as you continue to say, the porous borders.
But Robert, we have the helicopters in the north. Why the helicopters not in Cedros?
No, but I'm making a even more
why is,
like an aligned point to what
why
you're
is
saying.
The Coast Guard in Chagaramas?
But no, we come into that.
Why is the Coast Guard not in Cedros, Robert? I want to ask these questions because I'm telling Trinidad and Tobago, and I want to keep raising this. This country is not failing by accident. It is failing by design. We do not have... I have to keep reminding myself I'm not on my live video, so there are certain words I cannot use on your station. But we have real mooks in office who do not seem to understand basic policing, basic law enforcement, basic social management. But if you cut the head off the snake, if you make life hard in Cedros, then they had to go and start over somewhere.
Yeah, they have to.
And you could follow them where they start over.
Yeah. But you see, again, the technology is so advanced that high definition type cameras can be installed in strategic locations.
Robert, Amazon delivering your goods with drones. Amazon delivering your goods with drones. This is the age of information.
Yeah, what?
You could light up Cedros from space tonight.
Of course you can.
You could, but if we... You have 3 ministers of national security and they don't know.
No, we have no ministers on national
you have 3.
security. We have 3 individuals.
You have 3. You actually have 4. You actually have 4 because the Prime Minister is the head of the National Security Council. So between the 4 of them, plus they have Gary Griffith. Gary's my boy. Yeah. But Gary defended Dominica foolishness, and I had to keep calling Gary out because they have Gary's ear and they have access to Gary. You may not think Gary is the kind of technocrat that I believe that he is, but I know he is. They have his ear. And they could ask Gary how to fix this. So that's plenty people who could sit down and say, wait a minute. If the Coast Guard boats in Chagaramas, but the drugs, guns, and human trafficking happening in Cedros, this map set up wrong.
It have to. But you see, again, we come back to what is called...
And I want to give Tony a chance there.
We come back to...
You're doing well, brother. Come on, man.
We're coming back to history.
When you're ready, you just touch me. Yeah.
We're coming back to history. The reality is, we are doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
You know. And
so
I know.
Chagaramas just was the inherited because that was the base for the Americans.
Okay, but there was a base in Wallafield. But you know and I know.
No, they have an outpost there. But nothing is happening.
We have a natural deporter harbor in Toko too. People don't know that and an airfield.
Yes.
That could be a base today if we wanted it to be. We're playing smart with shipping this. And I was thinking as I was driving here that people put up with what they could accept. There's a certain level of murder that seems to be acceptable to Trinidadians.
But the way I try to cast it is, you tolerate what you cannot. Wait, did you say? What you can tolerate, you cannot change.
Because you're not.
And that's where we are.
But you're not motivated
We could tolerate red and we could tolerate yellow.
Robert,
So
I keep saying to Trinidadians, and my brothers and sisters in the West, where I come from, to the people of Westmoreland and Goodwood Park, and Goodwood Gardens and Victoria Gardens and Bay Shore and Shorelands, I keep telling them, when the wolf reach your door and pink-skinned people start to get murdered in this country, don't call for me to march if you're not marching for Morva, Beetham, Lavantel and Silots. Don't call for me. We can't continue to accept a certain type of person is okay if they get murdered in this country. That concept that some lives...
The Noel 130, what is it?
That nonsense, you have to keep reminding me on the radio and not on Facebook. I want to tell you something. That concept that certain lives are more important than others has to be rubbished today. Until we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, could say one murder, any murder is too many murders, we're not going to get these people who draw in salaries under false pretenses and masquerading as government. Because when you and I sit down here and give people real workable solutions, I mean, success leaves clues. You could open any book. There are actual books called Policing for Dummies, Governing for Dummies, Healthcare for Dummies. I mean, it's as simple. You told me yesterday that this thing that we're advocating for, 41 properly functional 24/7 accident and emergency healthcare facilities with their own ambulance, that we are advocating for, you advocating for 25 years now. So I mean, if we have that information out there and we're exchanging between these two blighted, corrupt and cancerous organizations, and neither one really motivated to do something about the condition of the country, how could people sit down comfortably, consider themselves loving the people and their family, and choose to support things that work against the people that they love?
Well, the classical thing to that is that in the published information of the $400 million highway that is going to develop nothing other than possibly housing, but then housing is not what you need. You need commercial activity.
Does fat boy coconut water need a highway to move coconuts from Manzanilla?
No, it doesn't.
So then what's the highway for?
Yeah.
Who is benefiting?
Yeah.
Besides Arvin Kalu and his father-in-law and Sinanan and the rest of these clowns, who is benefiting from this highway to Manzanilla?
Anybody who owns land going through that isn't owned by the government.
But this is not even our leeward side. This is the windward side of the island. The beaches on Trinidad's windward coast will be nice to sit down and look at the waves, but it will never be something that people would say that's not your beach tourism. Your beach tourism is where the waves trickling in.
That's your drunk tourism. You could drunk there for sure.
That is for the people who want to go and surf, right? But they don't, surfing people, they don't
Less than 100.
But they don't need no highway.
No.
Surfing people will go anywhere, climb over rocks. They don't care.
Walking through the bush.
We used to go on some rail track, climb down beside
Surfing people don't need highway. They may waiting for you.
Just to get to the beach,
Right. So the point is, you're not developing beach tourism on your windward island because sea blast will destroy everything. Right? So that's not what you're going there for. The only purpose in America, they have something called pork projects, which is you make a project just so people could eat food.
Yeah.
But this is a recession. This is a time when Robert, I want to say to you, Mary rode to Bethlehem on a jackass. I want to say that to you. Mary wrote to Bethlehem on a jackass. That's in the Bible. In the Holy Bible,
you're in the Bible too. This morning I'm reading a chapter in the Bible because I read a chapter every day. I told people I've never read the Bible from cover to cover, but I promised myself that I'll read the Bible.
That's a good way to do it. That's a good way to do it.
So I'm now reading a chapter and it says certain foods you're not supposed to eat.
Or you're in Leviticus. Stick up in there. Because Leviticus will, if you reach foods, brother, you ain't start reading yet. Leviticus, the book of Numbers will inspire you to come back and ask Christians, wait a minute.
I agree.
Wait. But you have to stick up in there.
You know, rabbit is one of the meat you can eat.
Rabbit, you can eat shark, you can eat lobster, you can eat shrimp, you can eat pig. The biggest selling foods in the world, the most expensive selling foods in the world right now. But stick a pin there. Because you have to come back to this. If Trinidad and Tobago is ever going to find its way back to being a normal run country where everybody could have a good shot of a good life, you need to have systems in place that prevents a prime minister from giving a $400 million contract on a whim. He must defend that.
This is the point
We
I
must
was
be
making
able
there.
to call him to order. The JSC as comprised is nonsense. If the JSC could say, I will look into Ferrygate, but I'm not touching fake oil.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
We have nothing that the people could trigger. In the United States of America, the justice system is separate and apart from everything else. And when they trigger a special prosecutor, nothing stops that, you know.
And I agree with you, but I want to take the discussion back to a point, because we're going to take a break and then come back. I want to take the discussion to the point of two things. The first one is, we have got to be serious as a country in understanding that the words that the politicians are using, they're not living by those words. Better value for money. But we as a society also need to ask the Prime Minister or whoever, explain how this $400 million is better value for money.
But
when simple roads in Trinidad, main roads, we can't even traverse on them without falling.
Robert, I agree with you, but before you even get to there, the point I want to make is we use a word like procurement. We use words to confuse people. And procurement is, you work for your monthly salary and you have that money, and out of that money, a certain amount of money you get to spend on things to run your life. Your rent, your car, your traveling, your food. You are procuring those things. On a macro, massive, bigger scale, the Prime Minister takes the nation's money and procures things. The government procures things that serves the people. We have no system in place. We have this concept called the cabinet, and the cabinet is just a gang. The cabinet is handpicked by the Prime Minister. First of all, Trinidadians need to understand our system of governance is an elected dictator. For 5 years, you can't do anything with this person but burn tires, you know. And if you get enough people to march, maybe they might be... Maybe they might pay attention to you. I remember when Jack Warner look out his window and say, I ain't see no Indians in that march. Don't pay no attention to that march. That's foolishness. But that's where we are. We are a place where you only allow the people rancor and noise.
Remember we started the discussion by saying one of the issues in the country is this issue of race problems, when in truth and in fact is a non-recognition of the difference between race and ethnicity.
You have to be able to educate the people to understand that the changes that they need have to happen outside of tribal voting. They will never get it via tribal voting. You cannot have half a ship sink and the other half go its merry way. So the African Trinidadians will not prosper while the East Indian Trinidadians are suffering. That is temporal at best. The reality is, for everybody to prosper is the best case scenario.
I agree.
We need systems that says, if this is a depressed financial time in the country, do not waste $400 million.
When we come back, we'll deal with that from a point of view of what they call it, body mass index. Body mass index. You know what I'm talking about? How fat you are? BMI, I think they call it. I'll try to see if I can turn that into an understanding, because you see,
I'm looking forward to see how you tie that to this. But you and I, the conversation we have to have is to tell the people, to tell the government, because that's how it works. And people have to understand this, that you don't elect people to power, you elect them to office, and the people hold the power. And the people get to tell the government, this is what I want. And we need to tell them, this is what to tell them, that this is how to protect my money, and I want my money protected. And until we get to there,
we'll be back, people. We'll join Philip back in a short as we continue the discussion. And this is going to be a once a week arrangement every Thursday, 11 to 12. Philip will be joining us to discuss some of his views, strategies, and also some of the options that are available for you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, to make a decision as you look towards 2020. You see, the thing was, what I was saying about BMI.
still live on Facebook.
What I was telling you about BMI. is that
Hey, JT.
in a sense what has happened is from a procedure and policy point of view, nobody in governance has sat down and put percentages across the spectrum. How much money do we need for new road development in the 5-year period? How much money do we need for industry development over the next 3 years? How much money do we need for special surgeries, as the case might be?
Robert, like St. Peter, he had the keys to the kingdom. Robert, I want to tell you something. I just want to tell you this, right? Because you hear and we say all the time that we would replace the cabinet decisions with a constituency board of supervisors. If you want to identify,
Who is this?
if you want to identify all the ways which roads need to build and which roads need to fix, let that decision be made at the constituency level. And let them come to you at budget time. And this is what I'm going to tell Trinidad, that at budget time, the supervisor of public works in each constituency needs to compile a list that for this year, we have to fix these 3 schools in my constituency. Let's say you are the member of parliament for Port of Spain South. And you go and you compile, because you speak with all of the other supervisors, because we propose a supervisor of health, education, public works, public utilities and security. And having spoken to them, you know all the police stations that need fixing, all the police stations that need building, all the schools that need repairing, all the schools that need fixing, anything else that need, plus roads. So you'll arrive at $285 million for developmental and maintenance projects broken down this way. You actually telling them, we are going to pave Anna Street, we're going to pave Petra Street, we're going to pave Debatile Street, but when we reach O'Connor Street, we have to lift up all the pitch and do it over, and that we have these pipes to change out in this community, in the constituency. When you get to that kind of micro planning, that's sent to the Minister of Finance. The Minister of Finance now has 41 of these documents, and he knows I have $5 billion to spend on public works, and I have a total of $7.5 billion. He have negotiations to happen, and he needs to come back to you and say, well, I can't do everything that you want on this list, so separate it for me by order of priority. Tell me what you could live without, and if we get more funds, we send it. That is managing a country.
But the difference of what you're saying there is just a matter of, I started off writing it here, audit. We need to audit what is existing.
You want accountability. You want planning.
You need to know where we are with every single thing.
Correct.
You need a road audit, you need a school audit, you need a police station audit, a health center audit.
But I wanna
need government offices audit. You need to have everything on a. And I tried to explain that to Dukaram 8 years ago. They present a budget to this country, but if you ask them how much money do we spend on telephones, they can't say.
And exactly because
that's the problem.
No, but
each one of the ministries they have a line item, but nobody is pulling the line item 19.
No, because
stretching it across.
No, because you're throwing money. You're throwing money. You're saying, and things get lost in it. You say that I'm going to spend $5 billion on road rehabilitation through Pure, and nobody knows what Pure is doing with that money. Pure don't answer to nobody until you get the Auditor General report, and by then years have passed. You can't prevent waste.
It don't happen.
Exactly. You can't look at the plan and say, wait, why are we building a highway to Manzanilla when you don't need it? People would have actually gotten on board and supported using that $400 million to widen the road to Shagaramas. You're at a point now where the development that was done in Shagaramas is going to frustrate the people of Carenage for the rest of their lives if you don't fix Shagaramas.
Really?
Alrighty, people, so let's get back inside a sense and sensibility, of course, on More FM 104.7. It is now 38 minutes after 11 o'clock. Time check courtesy of Racetrack Wheels.
We were talking about body mass index and relating it to the country. The society that we live in today, if we continue eating a particular type of food, it is definite we become obese. in the economic environment, we are doing the same. We are overdeveloping something at the price of underdeveloping something else. So the country will end up just like an obese person.
So you're saying that we need a proper diet and exercise on a national level? And that right now we pre-diabetic.
I say the Minister of Finance needs to put, we only have 100%.
No, you don't. They are deficit financing their nonsense.
No. I'm not even dealing with that.
But
we only have 100% to split among all the different levels of expenditure.
100% of what?
Money.
Where's that money coming from?
Wherever.
No, but you see, you have to start somewhere.
Okay, so we're pulling it out of our hat.
I am saying to you that number should be based on factual income statements.
No problem.
If you say it's factual income statements...
It makes no difference what it is. What it turns out to be is as follows. Salaries and wages in the country, if it is 25%, we have to establish whether that is more than is the standard. If in a great running country like Sweden, the salary and wages as a percentage of the budget is 6%, then that's our target. Because they are doing the right things and their people are benefiting.
They peg those numbers to GDP.
Don't forget where we peg it. The thing is, we need a starting point.
I agree with what you're saying, you know.
So we understand that we top heavy. It's just like Petrotrin.
Yeah.
How much money are we spending on salaries and wages versus headcount versus
Well,
productivity?
now you're making the point.
No.
Because you could break Petrotrin down by line item.
Right. You could break the government down by line item.
Exactly. And that's why we advocate...
The question is, what is the target?
No, but we advocate for this. Every constituency in this country is like that school across the road. That school represents a certain amount of students, children, that need to be educated. Where are those children now?
They're displaced. They are different locations, different schools. They really don't have the normal. But Philip, I don't want you to lose sight of what I'm saying. The thing is that if the issue turns around where you have $100 and it's proven, you have to make a determination now how that $100 is going to be spent. Whoever is sitting behind the desk of decision. By policy and procedure, if you're going to spend $10, it must be able to generate 15. When you look at the dysfunctional companies that the government continues to keep under their control and do nothing about it, except every year fund it with more money, we have to start to understand where the leakages are.
And that's my point, Robert. The budget that needs to be presented in the parliament shouldn't be a 1-hour stunt. Brian Quaiton took what used to be a 3-hour line item exercise and condensed it into a populous stunt. And I am knocking him for that. Because the budget should take days.
Yeah, but the budget does take days.
No,
because
not now.
No. As a matter of fact,
it is nonsense in the parliament.
No.
All I'm saying is the first reading of that budget, the Ministry of Works must be able, and when he reaches allocation for the Ministry of Works, he must say, I am allocating $5 billion, and Yara, let me say this, I'm allocating $5 billion for the Ministry of Works, and it is broken down thusly.
Okay.
They go Martin West to Toko Manzanilla, and you will know each constituency, and when you go to get the budget document, because this should be a public document before the budget is approved, you're supposed to be able to go and get a fact book that is called the budget document. And when I turn to Ministry of Works to find that $5 billion, I will find 41 statements from 41 constituencies telling me where you say that money going to spend. And if you want to find the nonsense, line item by line item, you will find it.
And here is the difference from what you're saying to what is real. When they change the standing orders in the parliament, the standing orders permitted now for what is called the discussion on the budget prior to its approval. So the minister reads out all his...
But you have 45 minutes.
Well,
some have 30.
Okay, no problem.
What do I do with that?
No, but the books that are prepared by the technocrats, that has all of the details, is presented in the House. And under every line item, the speaker calls on the person and say, under Ministry of
I
Works,
agree.
line item 29,
I agree.
salaries.
I agree. But this is where it's wrong.
Yeah.
Because when you summon, because a member of parliament is supposed to be able to stand up and say, Mr. Minister of Finance, I would like to challenge your position on healthcare. I would like to challenge your position on this $6.25 billion being allocated for healthcare this year. Because if you do not give, and I'm saying this again, if you cannot break that down in the budget and speak for as long as it takes for the people to understand that of the $6.25 billion that you're spending on healthcare this year, $2.25 billion is going to maintenance. $1.25 million is going to renovation and development. $2 billion is going to new project development. And those things could be further broken down so that the public understands that we're actually spending $17 million on a healthcare system, how and why, and what we're getting in exchange. Because then you will be able to look at this and say, wait a minute. We have 2,000 hospital beds and it's costing us $17 million a day. I can contrast and compare that with West Shore, St. Clair and St. Joseph healthcare facilities and see what their bed cost is, because you could break that down to the bed.
No,
and
that
but that will tell me if I am properly using my money. Because I will be able to say, listen, if it is $17 million to do 2,000 beds in the public health sector and it is half that to do it in the private health sector, why do I have a public health sector if it will save me 50% of the money to privatize the healthcare?
But you don't say it already. It's as a matter of hemorrhaging, no transparency, no accountability, because the name of the game is bleeding the treasury, and you need reasoning to be able to do that. You can't just walk in the treasury and take a bag, fill it up with money and walk out. You understand what I'm saying? So it's why now you would find we do not have no level of efficiency and transparency. Now think about it. 55 years we have independence, which means, what is that? That is 11 terms? 11 terms of office? Is it?
More or less.
All right.
Not counting for Manning's 2 snap elections.
Well, all right then. But my point towards that is, you're talking about people going in and out of office 11 times plus, and there has not been one administration.
Because of the lack of political will. And political will is supposed to be framed by public discourse. And public discourse has been reduced to bacchanal. We into rhetoric. We don't engage in politicking, you know. We engage in noise. We engage in stunts. People don't ask the Minister of Education. My member of Parliament for Diego Martin West is supposed to stand up in the Parliament during the budget reading and say, sir, of the $4.5 billion allocated to run education this year, what does that translate to be per head in the public sector? Because these 4 private schools that are offering 10-year schools in the country, their per head cost might be $1,200 per child per year.
And put a pin.
I'm just asking you this.
No, but that's the point I'm making to you. That if we establish that as the fact
in front, you have to establish it in front.
Then we don't have a problem.
Good.
And that is why I'm talking about body mass index.
I like that you're using body mass index.
The country does not have what is called stapled directions on cost efficiencies.
Robert's budget document will have pictures of people in bathing suits to show you what he's talking about.
But if that makes sense, because then the people
the analogy is not wasted. It's a correct analogy.
So you cannot come now, for instance, we have a certain population. Look at the motorcar situation. The country now has in excess of 800,000 motorcars running on the roads of Trinidad and Tobago. 800,000. We have a population of 1.3 million, and we have 300,000 young people that cannot drive. We have 150,000 people over the age of 75 that drive very little. So we have 500,000 people. Therefore, we have enough cars for everybody. If the government of the day does not change the taxation policy on motor cars and curtail the use of foreign exchange for buying that type of product, they would have failed the country.
Absolutely, but I was in Baltimore for 3 months, and I want to tell you something. At no time while I was in Baltimore did I think that I needed to buy a car. Because every time I needed a bus, I knew that if I sat down on that bus stop, if I got there with 3 minutes to spare, that set my watch to it, a bus was stopping every half hour, on the half hour, to take people on the major roads. On the major roads. This is a country, Robert, where the people have not been educated to understand what they should expect and what they should demand. Budget statements are a promissory as to how we will develop your life going forward.
I understand that.
Mr. Minister of Finance,
the problem,
please defend the $7 billion spent on national security. Please defend the $2.25 billion on manpower. Why do we have an army if it does not protect and serve? What are we training them for? Why is the Coast Guard in Chagaramas and not Cedros? Why do we have helicopters that cost this country hundreds of millions of dollars in past budgets that are now grounded because you can't find budgets to maintain them? These are criminal conspiratorial acts. People need to be arrested and charged for misbehavior in public office, and your budget will be the document that guides that.
Right, but we have to come full 360 degrees. You cannot afford to build the infrastructure, and in the system that you have, don't have a percentage of your national expenditure or income dedicated towards the upkeep.
Absolutely.
We have an attitude, Bill Napa, Bill Sapp.
How it hang it swing? How it hang it swing? Nobody knows what is the cost, what is supposed to be the cost to get block, brick and banana to Tobago. Nobody knows. So what went on with the Superfast Galatia, because that was Bandit and Bubble, and what going on now with Ferrygate, with Cabo Star and Ocean Flower and Forehand Massage, all of that is banditry, corruption and criminal conspiracy to defraud the treasury. But because nobody, and there are no systems to say in the front of your allocation, tell me what you budget for this and why. So I can check this. This is the age of information. I could do a Google search and tell you if Fuad Khan's costs to purchase hazmat suits during the Ebola scare was madness compared to what I could have buy on eBay. This is public funds. This belongs to the people. Keith Rowley shouldn't be allowed to decide on a whim to spend $400 million on a nonsense project when the healthcare system is failing. And I'm not saying put the $400 million in the healthcare system. I'm saying call everybody to account. Defend your expenditure. Stop wasting taxpayers' money on foolishness and stunts.
And I agree with that statement, Philip. What I would say to you, though, is that the 41 people that sit, plus the opposition leader just appointed 3 new senators, replaced 3.
I've been ignoring that.
Okay? The reality is, you cannot put a bison
It's theater.
to do a racehorse
It's
job.
theater.
And
They don't know. Robert,
we have 41 people.
who
that
in
sit
that
the
parliament, I'm asking you as a man, you know these people personally. Tell me, honestly, is there a single person in that parliament that you respect?
Not one.
And that's the end of my conversation.
And the reality is
That's
that,
the end of my conversation, because Trinidad and Tobago, you're voting people to office that cannot represent you.
but not only that, the problem is a little bit bigger. The problem is that you have these 41 people in there who are trying to run a business, but they have no experience. You have 41 people in there. Why did the Prime Minister call on Mute to do the review? Because he said that he was a businessman that had success. Show me one of the 41 of them sitting in the parliament today that have had success.
And
Success comes with failure.
And that's the point, of course. Failure is the
Success
greatest teacher.
comes-
Failure is the greatest teacher. The reason you don't bounce your toe every single day on the corner of your bed is because you bounced it once.
Yeah, and your ball will go.
That lesson is education.
We take a quick break. When we come back, we'll wind up. We don't need it? All right, good. So, we have a situation of dysfunctionality
At the voter level.
at the voter level.
It is at the voter level.
And-
And stop excusing the voters.
No, I didn't excuse
No,
them
I'm
at
saying,
all.
but I'm saying to you, from today go forward, I am putting responsibility for this country at the feet of every voter. Black, Indian, Chinese, white, wherever you come from.
No matter.
Wherever your ancestors come from. Whatever acts you grinding, at the end of the day, your political decision, your electoral decision, who you put in that parliament determines the quality of the country we get. And we keep putting, as you say, bisons in that theater. We're only going to get ox cart.
That's all we do. But important is that we also need, like all, what you call them, all business intelligence people would have worked out, we need a guide. And you see, right now we have no guide.
I'll give you 2 words.
If you sit down and ask,
I'll give you 2 words.
Finance,
best practices.
yeah,
and
no
you
problem.
know that.
I will use best practices, but I would say even better is guide. Best practices is when you have the competence. But when you have a prime minister, both past and present, that appoint boards and appoint chairmen, and at the end of their tenure or during their tenure, they can't show nothing except go to the treasury with a basket and say, we're $200 million short. And the person just write the check. I can tell you that from my own experience.
But I want to tell you this. Because going in, we don't know what to expect from them. You hire somebody in your business and you give them no job description, no job title, and no expectation of what you want from them. Worse, you tell them determine their own budgets. And surprised when they tell you, I want $100 million and I travel in the world, and what you was trying to hire was a maid. The reality of the situation is we ourselves have to know, and we have to follow people. If we don't know, at least find the critical thinking to follow people that could break it down for you and tell you that there are best practices in this world. You could Google it now while I am speaking. How much does it cost to run a ferry per kilometer in calm water, moderate water, rough water? You will know. You will know per kilometer it costs $125,000 an hour to have and rent and lease and use a ferry. You know there are best practice prices that you could identify for auto rental. So there must be one to operate a boat. There are people doing this all over the world. Trinidad is a dot. How come Ferrygate wasn't predicated on, we know, how far is Tobago from Trinidad? 22 kilometers?
I don't
How
know.
come we didn't know, and we did, how much was it? 22 kilometers. I'm assuming if I'm wrong, don't beat me up. But how come we didn't do the arithmetic? How come we didn't say that a ferry to operate, if leased, if handed to the company that owned these boats, that this mad corruption through Bridgemans tried to do. Bridgemans didn't exist 2 weeks before they get the contract. But the company, Wetjet or something, who they rent the boats from, or try to buy the boats from, that company in existence decades now. And that company could tell you the maintenance schedule for a ferry in tropical waters. So you will have an estimation for a maintenance. All I'm trying to say to you, Robert, all I'm trying to say to you is nothing is magic. Nothing requires you to throw your hands in the air.
Yeah, but you see, what requires to throw your hands in the air is that we need to have a blueprint, if you want to call it.
Absolutely.
As to what we expect Trinidad to be.
Absolutely. What you need most and best. You do needs analysis.
No prime minister that comes to the table that just comes with verbs and words is going to solve or carry this country to where it has to go.
Rhetoric is running the country.
It is
Rhetoric,
a popularity contest.
You getting rhetoric from the opposition?
It's like no. I want to say it's like the what is it called, the parliament. I don't want to say beauty competition.
But it is.
All right.
But that's what it is. We run it like that minus the swimsuit competition.
Parliament popularity competition.
What we just discussed,
PBC.
In this hour here, you never heard come from the opposition. And the opposition is supposed to be the government in waiting. And the opposition does not know how to ask the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance to give me a justification and a cost analysis for what you're about to do.
Well, we'll wait to see as we get to the top of the hour. We'll wait to see, because I had sent to both the Minister of Finance, and he did acknowledge that he got it. He also went a step further to say, I'm going to be speaking about it in the Parliament. And unfortunately, he has never spoken about it, which is the cost to this country on something called a call swap option. This country spent, over the last 3 years, approximately $2.4 billion. Virtually, they just went and gave a man a check and said, take that, man. It's all right. All them people are catching the tail all over the country. All them children that's sick that need help. All those children are going to school that can't get books. All those old people that live in
Squalor
and poverty that
lives of quiet desperation.
All of those people who have cancer that can't get the cancer drugs. It's all right. Let them suffer to hell. I think it's better for you as a bank to get this money. $900 million this year.
You are the only person raising that issue.
$800 million.
You're raising that issue year after year, and nobody's addressing it. I want to tell Trinidad and Tobago this. Unfortunately, whether by design or accident, your government is defrauding you every budget.
And it would seem so that the point you're making about that aspect of defrauding, I would believe, is a legitimate...
Robert, 30%, if not more, of that budget every year is stolen, wasted money. 30% of that budget.
All right, people, we'll wait to see what happens with the budget. I mean, before the budget is read on Monday, I will give you my 2 cents on it. But look out to join Philip every Thursday, or a member of his team.
I apologize that PRO, Tony Default.
Oh, God, come on, man. Anyway, listen, Trinidad and Tobago, you heard what was said, and at the end of the day, you know, it's a common sense solution. We have the blueprints. If you want to dissect it, you're more than willing to get in contact with us. And again, follow the show, you know, both on the live stream as well as on the air here. Because at the end of the day, it's about making change. And you know what? We stepping up to the plate. We are stepping up to the plate to make this change. So again, we need your support. So check it out, listen, and if you know what I mean, put in your 2 cents as well.
Pep have a website.
PEPTT.com. We have an app, PEP PEP app, available on all app stores, free of charge. We have an email address, peptrinbago@gmail.com, so you can email us today to join. We have a public meeting this Saturday at noon. You're welcome to come if you're not busy. We have it every Saturday for members and new members to come and sign up and get involved and be a part of the party. That's this Saturday, 19 Stanmore Avenue at noon, 4 buildings down from the Savannah, opposite Albion Street, and you could Google and Waze and find it. The reality facing Trinidad today going forward, I want to wrap this up. I want to tell you thanks for having me here. But the reality facing Trinidad today going forward right now is that we need to end the bacchanal and the nonsense conversations, forget the rhetoric, ignore the distraction, and start to focus on the details. They say the devil is in the details, God there too, and we need to find him. Thanks a lot, Trinidad and Tobago.
All right, people, that's it for us for the show. See you and hear from you next week. Don't forget, you have a choice. If you don't take the opportunity to exercise that option, look in the mirror and you know who to blame. Until Monday.